Hello, welcome to episode 169 in this series where I'm programming an NES game live on Twitch from scratch. Starting a little bit earlier than usual, hoping that means that I will end earlier than usual. I am going to try and time box this to a reasonable amount of time, but maybe not quite as short as an hour. I feel like once an hour rolls around, it's like I've just gotten started, so I feel like an hour and a half is maybe the sweet spot for really like a short episode, quote unquote short. Anyway, also if I ramble less, it means more time for coding. So last time we were here, we were working on the export process, and what happened was we got it exporting properly, but things did not look quite right because, where is the controller? Didn't look quite right because the attributes were messed up. So if I change the palettes in the PPU right now, we will see, like we did last time, that the tiles are all there, but the colors are kind of all messed up. And they're messed up because the attributes are not what they're supposed to be. So we got to figure out why that is. I don't remember how the attributes get loaded when the game starts. So let's look at that right now. I know there is some code that is handling the attribute information when we load the level, but I don't remember how. I don't remember how it does it. We may have even commented it out, to be perfectly honest, because of what's going on. With like loading the data, but we'll see here. Update the attribute bytes by storing attribute buffer into the PPU. Downloading tiles, set 2BC0, and 2BC0, if I remember, is at the end of this bottom name table. 2BBF, yeah, so we are looking at attribute buffer. We're storing into attribute buffer here based on metatile attribute lookup. Okay, so there is a lookup for the attribute information. I assume that must be part of the map, and we're not exporting it correctly or setting it properly. That's probably the issue. So that's the object export. And then this is the background data. I think we can probably get rid of, oh no, we're still doing this here. This is no longer necessary. That's no longer necessary. Right map file meta tile attribute count. Attribute look. Okay, so there is a lookup. Where is that being set? Well, that should be set in load map. And then in load map, I don't think we're doing anything with this. No, we're literally not doing anything with it. So basically what that means is we need to, in the code where we're converting our meta tiles down to the numbers that match the actual meta tiles that we're importing, because remember, we're putting together a list of the used meta tiles and remapping the map to use those indexes rather than the original indexes. We then also need to ensure that the lookup is happening correctly. Now we have all right, so we have this code here that updates the meta tiles and the palette list. And we have the used meta tiles, and we are using this really gross code here. We were iterating through the used meta tiles one at a time, and we're using this iterator index. So what this gives us, though, is a way to look up, well, it tells us what the offset is, but it doesn't tell us what the palette number is. So really, the thing that we're missing is we have what meta tiles are used, but we don't know what the matching palette is. So what I think I'm going to do, we're going to change this just slightly. Because we need a pair of numbers. Could I just make it a vector? We have vector 2. We have vector 2. And those are int 16s. So we can make this an array of vector 2. Just because I don't feel like making a whole new type for this. Although, you know, I say that, and then I'm going to come back to this and be like, why am I using a vector? This doesn't make any sense, and I am going to be thoroughly confused by the fact that it is using a vector to represent this. So let's not be lazy. Let's just do this the right way. So this is now a meta tile palette pair, which means that this code down here is going to break because it's not the right type anymore. Actually, I think I'm going to wait to, I'm going to move this down to, excuse me. I'm going to move this to our matching palette. You know what we're not doing here? We have to assign the value, because otherwise when we come into here, we're going to have -1 as the value, and that's not going to be right. So I'm surprised we didn't run into that. So once we're here, It's our matching palette, and we're going to push that onto this deck. And then here, we can do this. If the value matches the map buffer value, then we have that. And then attribute lookup. Attribute grid. What is the parameter's name? Metatile attribute lookup. Metatile attribute lookup, and this will be index iterator, and the value will be the palette value. So this will be iterator, oops, palette, like that. And I think that should be it, because then the whatever the value is for the tile, we can look up the whatever the value is, we can find the palette and put that into the attribute lookup. So use tiles, that now has to be changed to a metatile, not meat tile, metatile palette pair. And then there's this code that's wrong. So, where is that? What are you talking about? Can I convert argument 14 from deck? Well, yeah, it's not anymore. Okay, so now this, how does this work? Does this actually just write the whole, how does it know what the count is? I'm going to tell attribute count. Oh, okay, so that's what that's doing here. It's looking, okay. I totally forgot what this was all about until just now. So let's put a comment. Search for the end of the metatile attribute lookup value, so we can set a count based on the iterated index. Okay. Yeah, I totally forgot what that was all about, and I didn't take it out because I knew we weren't using it, but I also didn't know why it was there, so I figured it wasn't harming anything. Let's just leave it. I probably should have. Let's put a breakpoint here. I want to see what we end up with here just before we continue on our merry way. We've got a bunch of zeros and ones, which are fine. That's what we expected it to be. And then the attribute count is 13, which is a lot, but there are a lot of metatiles. Okay, that's fine. That means our lookup will work, hopefully, now. All right, so that only should have changed the exported map file. And when we go and build our assembly code, nothing should have to change here. Hopefully it will know what we're trying to do here. I don't know why I'm in the command line. Actually, I know why I went to the command line, but we're not going to do that yet. I just want to see where we stand with this. Okay. This is not half bad. That is pretty darn close to what it's supposed to be. And we're not getting the weird attribute values. You know, I think I know why those were happening. It was we were doing lookups with values in the lookup of like it was just 255, I think. And so there was no real actual value, and then the lookup was causing weird behavior because it was just wrong. That is exciting. So, no, I don't care about that one. I care about this one. I want to see. Oh yeah, we do. We do have this shorter one here, and then there are the enemies. Excellent. Okay, cool. So that is good. And oh, I didn't even realize I put in a spawn point, so that's cool. That's why we got all those enemies. That's excellent. All right, so now the real question becomes, oh, and it looks like it looped too. It looks like it looped properly. That is awesome. All right. So now the question is, why are those wrong? And it's very specific. It's always that same section here. And if we look at the PPU, I mean, we are, I forget about the tile updates. Yeah, we are updating attributes to some extent. Let's refresh this. Only some, though. I wonder if when we looked at the list of palette indexes, let's take a look at how that correlates to the actual indexes we have now. We have to look at the used meta tiles as our guide for how to map between the positions here and then the actual meta tiles. Oh, interesting. Why? It's because we're off. We're off by one. We're off by one because palette. We're setting the value 0 in. We're actually updating the value 0 in attribute lookup, and that is not correct. Now, that raises, no, well, okay, so then why? We shouldn't be doing that because we're starting at iterator index 1. So why would that be the case? So meta tile attribute lookup 0 equals 0. What did I spell that wrong? Yeah. Let's take a look at this here. Sorry, just bear with me here for a second. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Sorry. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. All right. So we have meta tile, attribute lookup, and then we have used meta tiles. Oh, okay, that's fine. That is just that it is. Okay. Sorry, I'm just, the lookup obviously shouldn't include an x0 because that's no tile. So I just wanted to make sure. I thought that might have been the problem, that we were incorrectly offsetting one value too early. What, I don't know what the right word is. We were off by one by having the value be starting, all the values starting at 0 instead of 1, but it's a 1 offset here. That actually looks okay. So now when we come to here, we're going to loop through. And we're going to take whatever the count is. And let's see, the use meta tiles, we said there are 12. So it's going to write 13 because 0 is still a value. So that's actually okay. So let's take a look. Okay, so what I was going to do was I was going to compare the meta tiles to the palettes that are selected and make sure that they actually make sense. So let's do that. NES asset tool. You know, the one thing I just thought of is I wonder if it's something like we are not did I not copy over? Let's double check. Let's make sure that it's not something like with the export I'm not copying over the right character file. This is from today, but that's not supposed to be that way. We'll have to see what's causing those to get generated, but these are definitely what we want. And I guess it wasn't 11. Sorry, it wasn't 13, it was 11. But that file doesn't exist. So we'll deal with that in a second. Replace. I really should work on the process of how this kind of gets automated a little bit more. So, okay, so this is the palette that has those values. Where is memory 2? It's here. Current palette, I believe, is what it's called. Either that or map palette. Okay. So that is 0E122237. So that is 0. And that makes sense there. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So 11, and then 36 hex is, let me switch over to decimal again so I don't have to. Are you not going to show it for some reason? Wrong thing. 18. Where? Why are there extras? It's strange. Or maybe because we weren't done. Okay. So palette, let's take a look at palette 6. Or sorry, metatile 6. That's palette 1. That's 0C2937. If we look at the palette here, 0E0C2937. So that does look correct. I wonder if it's, like I said, it's just because we didn't copy over the character file export. Let's see if just rebuilding now will fix this. What is this? Sorry, getting nonsense notifications on my phone. Actually, I shouldn't say nonsense. It's advertising. Which I guess is kind of nonsense. Except it's for stores that I actually shop at instead of just random crap that I get all the time. Asset filler. Alright, let's just re-grab all of this stuff. What? Wait, why is it saying... Oh no, why does it need... Did it do this last time and I missed it? No. Cannot open include file for 65542, which is a negative number, possibly. 655. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on here. 655. Why would it... What is the count? The count is not done yet. It says the count is 19. Why is the count... Is that consistent every time? Or did something change? Let's see. I thought it was... Oh, it was 13 hex. Okay, that's... I forgot I had it in hex mode. That's where my confusion was coming from. Okay, so there are, in fact, 18 metatiles and the 0, 1, which doesn't count. So now, if we go back to our assembler, 1154, 31, 45, 46, 25, 26, and then it should be 6 and 7. But instead it's saying it's 65, 542. Okay. Let's see. That's the palette export. That's the metatile. Used metatiles. Okay. So metatile temp. Is it a use met? Oh. That's fun. Okay. So it is because I didn't change that because it didn't give me a problem compiling. So interesting. So it was interpreting. So it just happened to work for some of them, but not for others. And then we were getting weird values. Okay. Well, that actually makes sense, although it's a little weird that it did work for some. I'm sure we could look up why. I don't really necessarily care. I don't know that you care either. But the main thing is now we shouldn't have that problem. Yeah, we don't. Okay, good. So that, and then where the heck is it? It's this. Let's go back to this and export. Oops, wait, wrong folder. Also wrong folder. Oh my gosh, stop. This folder. Replace those 19 files. This is why I'm saying I need to like work on auto doing this, auto export copying or whatever it's got to be, instead of manually doing this like I am. This way I can just run the process, get the new ROM without having to worry about this silly business. So, oh, this opened a new messin? No, it just reopened in messin. Okay. Good. Oh no. Oh no. What happened? That's worse. How did that become worse? What did I change? I just changed that and that, which shouldn't have mattered. And what else did I change? I added that comment there. Oh, maybe I need to copy all the content. I think I was just, because I was being lazy about copying only the stuff that I thought changed rather than all the stuff. Maybe something got flipped around because of the nature of it just being automated. There's no rhyme or reason sometimes to, well, there is, but what I'm getting at is because it's not me doing it, it's possible that something got changed, and so as a result, when we loaded it up again, something had gotten flipped in the map that was different from what was there before, but that doesn't appear to be what's going on right now. What gives? All the character stuff looks right. All the palette stuff, the palettes that are loaded are right, but now the attribute stuff is wrong. And if I look at the FC0, right, this is the attribute memory for 2FC0 in the name table. I think that's right. 2F. Oh, it could be 2BC0. 2BC0. Where are we? It is 2BC0 that I'm writing it to. So those lookup values don't make sense. Let's take a look at the map output. Maybe now I'm right that the offset is wrong, but it's weird that that would be the case. Oh, wait a minute. No, this is right. Where is... Why is this just writing 0 through 15? Where's the meta tile attribute count lookup? Let's take a look at this. That's the count. The count is 19. This is... That's 19 bytes. So that's what we're writing out. Why is this... Did I... That looks like the right values there. And I don't see corresponding zeros and ones only. I see just a loop. Are we... Where else are we using this? That can't be right. Oh, well. If you don't let it finish exporting, it's only going to have 1 byte in it, isn't it? That's not good. All right. Let's reopen this. Yeah, why does it have 19 bytes in it? I mean, sorry, why is it just iterating from 0 to 19 instead of having the actual right lookup? not changing anything there. This is being written to the map file. So if we step through the map file, we have the map height, which is what? 1 byte. Let's see. So that's dot right. The next right we have is the metatile attribute count. Oh, that's here. So it's here. Okay, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Oh, this is the mapping. Oh, okay, I forgot. This is for the mapping of the metatiles themselves, how they map into the character array. And right now it's a 1-to-1 because we don't have metatiles loaded that we're not using, so it's a 1-to-1. We may end up, I was thinking about this today, we may end up doing something where we dynamically load the character ROM with the metatile information that we need. So like right now, that's what we're doing. I had thought originally maybe we could just have, you know, our entire metatile set loaded in. But looking at like how much space is here, there's not a ton. Even if we got rid of the title screen, which we should do after we're done with it, we're still kind of limited in terms of the amount of space we have. So I was thinking, okay, we could dynamically load up the character ROM with the right character data, or sorry, character RAM, to make things a little bit simpler, and then we can get rid of this lookup because there is no lookup. It's whatever the value is what the value is, instead of having to figure out which one it maps to, which you would do if you had normalized the mapping. Before, we weren't normalizing the mapping to the layout of the character ROM or the character RAM, and so we had to have the lookup, or I thought we would have to have the lookup, but now as we're going through it, I see that that's not going to be necessary. So what's going on here? It's funny, the attribute data looks okay, but it's like the tiles are wrong. Oh, I wonder if it's because this is so large. It's 19 bytes. What are we... Is there a bug? Maybe there's a bug in the way it looks up it does the re-indexing based on the number of metatile attribute lookups. Maybe it was like hard-coded or something like that. So it stores the background mode. It's repeat. That's for repeat scroll. Branch of equal to here. Otherwise, we're going to this. Comparative map. Branch of not equal to done loading tiles. Okay, so load standard map. So we're going to increment that. Set up the level objects. Then row mem plus 1. This is row count. So that's the max rows. We set up our camera position based on max rows. And then we're done with the camera finally. Get the attribute metatile lookup count. We have that. Yeah, that gets stored in temp. Let's take a look at that code in Messen. Make sure the numbers are what we think they're supposed to be. So I think I can search based on the comment. No? Well, fine. Be that way. Uh-oh. Did I crash it? I think I crashed it. It's okay. It's pretty rare that Messin crashes on me, so I'll forgive it this one time. Better not happen again. Alright. No, really, I can't remember the last time Messin crashed, so it's really not that big a deal. Okay, so search for skip camera adjustment. So we're here, so I want a breakpoint there, and we're gonna tell the emulator to go ahead and keep running, and we're gonna hit start, and it's gonna bring us to here, and the value is 13, so we're gonna increment temp to now be 14, load a level mem, clear carry, add temp, and it carries increment level mem 1, and then we decrement that because we want the next byte after that. So level mem, I want to replay that because I wasn't really fully looking at the numbers. So it goes to, this becomes 14. Oh, wait a minute. We increment that, and then we, oh, okay, we're adding it from the one in memory, so that's fine. So we're going to load A with F6. We're going to clear carry. We're going to add with carry temp. We're going to get A. So we carried. And then level mem plus 1 is 73. Oh no, it's 9D, so it should become 9E. It did. And then store level mem. So level mem is now 9E0A. If I go to that address, 9E, wrong window, 9E0A, that is not the level data. That is the next. That is the beginning of the tile mapping. There's some additional data here, but this is, all of this is our, up until this 0E is our attribute lookup. So then, increment row mem. Row mem is what? Row mem is pointing to what address? 90E2. 90E2, which is the beginning of that. So we're going to go to the next one. So now we're going to load that value and store that into the lookup. Oh, but I wonder, it's 13 hex, that's 19. Where is the, is it, it's 19 actually used, but it should really be 20 because all all the lookup stuff is 0 indexed, even though the meta tiles really start with 1. Okay, so where's that code that calculates the count? So this should just be +1. Or no, this shouldn't be +1. What it should be, I gotta look at this again because there were 19 entries in used meta tiles, which means that there were actually 18 entries in used meta tiles. I thought there were 19. So there were 18 actual entries, which means that we need 19 as our meta tile attribute count, which we do. We have that. And then when we go to write that out, where are you? Star A dot. Isn't it star A for? Yeah. Oh, did I get rid of that again? This should be meta. This should be a meta tile. Crap. Did we export junk ones? We didn't. Okay. I must not have taken whatever was re-exported, but that's okay. So that's what that should still be that. And then when we go and we export this, the count is 19, but the actual lookup is that going to have, it should have the right number of spots because it starts at 1. So you'd have 0. Does it tell me how many I have selected right now? No. How many are across? Whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So there are 19 here in this list. So that lookup, it should be okay because we're going to start. Yeah, that should all be okay because it's going to say we're incrementing. We're telling we're setting matter lookup to 990 E3, which is here, which means that 0 gets 0, 11 gets 1, 12 gets 1, and we confirmed that that was what was actually correct. Like if we look up 15. Oh, no, it's not 15. What is it? It's, oh, which actually, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So like metatile 8. I was looking at the address at the top and thinking that that was the metatile value, but it's not because we're not starting right at the beginning. So, yeah, so that's that palette. And then if we look at metatile 7, oh, but that's not the right order. The right order is actually this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is 6. So that is the correct palette. And then 7, we said, yeah, that's the right palette also. And then where is our memory? So 8 would also be correct if it's got the green palette, and it does. And then the next one is 27, and that would have a blue palette, and it does. So that's correct. So that all looks fine. So I'm not sure why then. So then, is it just the tile values are wrong? All these values are written here, and then are we, did I say we were pretty sure we were incrementing them, right? Automatically. Yeah, so we were adding 55 and hex to them because that was the offset for the title screen. So that's fine as far as that goes. Let's go back to the emulator. Where's the screen? Let's pause for a second. I want to look at... I'm sure this is something like really stupid that I messed up because it was working fine. There was just a problem with the palettes a little bit, and now it's like the tiles are wrong. It's almost like they're not being offset. It's just using the raw tile index as it was in here. But we're actually getting tile index values of 0, which should never happen in the map. So that then again makes me think something else has happened. And likely because of the number of meta tiles that we're now looking up the attribute values for not being correct. So, all right, so let's go back to the debug code and let's see what load level is currently set to, or not load level, level mem. Because I believe that is a location where we have our, oops, wrong window. That's the location where we have it pointing to the data, pointing to the beginning of the level memory. Okay, so 9E1E. 9E1E. And that is the beginning there. So that all looks good. So why 9E1E? Why are you not showing the right data now? Load level. Let's take a look at excuse me. Let's take a look at it actually loading the level data here for a moment, because something got messed up. And it's weird because everything I can tell, everything at the moment looks right, but obviously it's not right because, you know, if it were right, we would actually see the level data properly. And instead it's like nothing is offset by the amount that it should be. All right, so load a row mem y story. No, not this. That was from before. Okay, so max. That's the max rows. So we're doing some looking up. So we're actually using row mem here. Row mem plus 1. Where's row mem? Row mem is 9E1E. 9E1E. Again, that is the right location for the beginning of the level. Do we have a bug in our increment? Maybe we're going past a boundary where we need to increment both. So let's see, load row mem, clear carry and add temp. We didn't carry, so we didn't get that far yet. Clear carry, add. Okay, we didn't carry. Branch carry clear. Yeah. But maybe we are head carry row min plus load a temp 2. And then add, we didn't carry their current current level offset. Oh, we're just calculating the current level offset here. And then we're subtracting from the actual beginning of the map so that we have our starting place properly set up. But okay. Now we're setting up the PPU for writes to 2800 and initializing a memory. And we're reading from row mem, which is at A7CE. A7CE. That looks right. So we're taking our value of x and y or x and doing our multiplication stuff. And then y, I guess, yeah, y is in temp and we're adding, or the other way around, x is in temp. We're adding that. Transfer a to y. Temp. So the value is 0. And then we're taking, oh, that's not pointing to the right location if that's what we're doing. Oh no, it is. Okay, that is the normalized value. So that gives us a value of 1. And then we're using that in the lookup and we should get 1 and then multiply by the number of tiles in the meta tiles. That gives us 4. So that gets stored in temp. Multiply by 2 to find the subtile. Yeah, that's all fine. Load A with the tile value. Meta tiles. What is metatiles.bin have in it? I did grab that and oh, I wonder. Shoot. I don't think that has anything in it anymore. Oh, that would explain why we're getting garbage now. It was at one point. Stop it. Stop. Metatiles.bin. It did have stuff before. What am I using this for? Load A with the tile value. Let's take a look. I think we're not, yeah, so we're not exporting this at all anymore. And I don't, oh, we are. We're writing the empty meta tile, it looks like, maybe. Oh, that's what that is. Why do we need that? I guess we don't anymore. So what that was, it was writing out the 4 values for the tiles within the meta tiles. And it would just basically take current BG tile, whatever the tile is, and give it a value. Is that what it was doing? It's literally just used in this loop here. if map metatile GID is greater than 0 and it's not an object, then it's yet another mapping that we're doing. But I guess it was because, again, the idea was that at some point we could support having different tiles make up the meta tile. But because we're not doing that anymore, these values are meaningless. So what we really want to do, is there an additional level of lookup after that? Let's see. Meta tiles. I don't think there is. I think that's it. I think we get the meta tile lookup and then we... Okay. So realistically, all we need to do is for every meta tile, write out the tile index. I mean, it simplifies things right now. We can come back to this when we're doing any, some of the tile optimizations. Part of the issue, part of the reason I got rid of this is because it no longer applied because we were dealing with meta tiles differently now. So it really is pretty useless in the way that it is. So what we will really want to do is for int I0, I is less than, actually we'll say I is 1, I is less than, what is it, meta tile attribute count, or actually we could just do used meta tiles count length size. So we, for all of the ones that we have here, they're just linearly allocated in a row, so we can just meta tile stride is what, 4? Yeah. So we'll just reuse this and we'll say 0 is I times 4. And then it's this plus 1. Actually, we don't need, it's kind of silly, but we can just do this. Right, because it's just linearly incrementing, and then we write it. System hooks, not right. Empty tiles, empty meta tiles. Size of character times meta tile stride. All right. The only other thing that we might need to do is add 55 to that, probably. 55 hex because of the title screen. That run. All right, so let's grab metatiles.bin now. Let's actually check out just the content for a second. That should actually have some real actual values in it. Okay. I think at one point I was looking at that and going, why is it just incrementing numbers like a few weeks ago, not remembering what that was actually for. Pause. You pause, you rebuild. And then we're going to reload and see if this makes it happier. Okay, we're close. Yeah, we did have to increment, but I wasn't 100% sure on that, so not a big deal. What is it called here? It was current BG tile plus that. I have 58 there. I don't know why. It's okay. Hopefully that's right. Although, wait a minute, where this is doing an addition of 55. What is this for? Repeat scrolling only? Okay. So that 55 might be wrong. I'm not super concerned with that right now. Hoping this will take care of the problem. And then we'll do something kind of cool here in a second. Okay, that's better-ish. Let's take a look at the values that we're seeing. Compare them to what we expect to see and see what's going on. And see if we can figure out what happened. So if we look at this value, this is tile index 64. If we look at tile index 64, are these hex values? They are hex values. Okay. Tile index 64 has the wrong attributes. But the tile is also wrong. If we look at the map and we go to the beginning of the map and we look at it compared to this, like the shape, the overall shape is right. So we're getting closer. So let's see. So looks like we're almost maybe off by 1 again, because like the blank ones have the little wavelet, and the ones that are supposed to have the wavelet have like a tree value. So let's see, the wavelet one is, let's see, this is probably the blank one. That's 59. And then this is 5E. Two, 3, 4. And then this 2. So that should be 5D, should be the beginning of that one. But we are definitely pushed too far forward, because you can see like right on there that we actually have the beginning. Oh, it's actually sort of worse than that. It's like we're halfway over. So let's fix the code. We have 55 here. 55 puts you like right into the title screen. I'm going to go with 59 because that actually looks correct. And we'll see if that, we might still be wrong. Let's do this. I wonder if it's because it's not writing the empty tile out anymore. That could be why. Because it doesn't look like it actually has an empty tile now. It looks like it's actually just going straight into it. Hard to say. Hard to say right now. Let's see if we can get it to look right and then figure out what we want to do with this. If we want to adjust it so that there is a forced empty meta tile. I thought there was already. I thought this was it. Actually, you know how we can tell? metatile 11 is the first metatile that we load up. Let's just see what that is. I think that's just water. Yeah, so we should have an extra blank one first, and then the water, and then the wavelet, but we're not getting that. I mean, it's simple enough to fix that part, but let's just see how we are here for a moment. Yeah, same problem. That's maybe slightly different. Slightly different. Because it's possibly a little better. So the first set of tiles is that. Then 5D, what do we want the first value to actually be? We want it to be 5.9, not 5D. So what is this doing? 5.9. So it's starting at I, it's multiplying by 4. I is 0. I is 0. And then we're adding 59. So what am I missing? Oh, did I just not let it complete? Okay, let's try rebuild that. I'm not sure how I messed that up, but I think I just didn't let it complete all the way, so it didn't finish outputting the file, and so we did not have a change to it. Okay, that is looking definitely better. Except for the bottom part. And the bottom part is made up of what metatiles? The bottom part is made up of 5 and 6. Let me reload and pause right away. Or pause here. Okay. So is the issue tile data, or is the issue something else with the palette again? Because if it's just tile data, that's one thing. If it's okay, that actually 75, 76, 77, and 78. So 75, 76. All of those are black right now. Is this palette data that's wrong? Let's put in some random colors here and see if we get a background. No, it's like those tiles didn't get written. Why? Why didn't those tiles get written? Because I didn't copy stuff over? Maybe? Should I stop just copying like parts and start copying whole things over again? Maybe. I don't know why that would have changed, but clearly something did, because those tiles are now missing. Oh, okay, there they are. All right, so that fixed that. So now that's looking good, except for the attributes. So that's actually really nice. Now, why would those attributes be wrong? I mean, those should be... I mean, it's kind of black and white, right? Like there's only two attribute colors that exist, or two attributes that exist for use. Okay. So if we go back to, if we look at this area here, this is tile, it says it's 5. That's 5, that's 30. I believe the tile 30 is where we start to see the problem. Let's look back at the map. So we're just doing a side-by-side comparison, right? Like, so this first one, that's a 5 based on, it shows up over here. I can't show you in, and then that's also 5, and then that is 30, and that's where the color problem starts being wrong, or color attribute starts being wrong. Let's take a look at metatile 30. Oh, that's 30 hex. What is that? 16, 32 something or other. I can't do the math right now. Don't ask me to do math, please. 30 hex, it's 48 decimal. So, well, is it 48 or 49? No, it's not 49. So then it's actually 47. No, really? What's going on? 5, 30. Oh no, so 30 is the decimal value because this doesn't use hex. So 30 is the decimal value. Wait a minute. Sorry. I keep having to switch back and forth and getting confused. So it's actually 30. Is it 30 or 31? Oh. Huh. That's interesting. So it's using the, I mean, okay. So that's good in the sense that like we're using what we're telling it to use, but it's using the wrong thing. Now, why is it using the wrong thing? I don't know. We'll figure that out in a second. Hey, Johnny Manjiro, how's it going? I'm sorry I didn't get back to you today. It was crazy. I saw that you wrote back. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like it's an attribute issue. I mean, it is, but it's because we're telling it to do the wrong thing. Yeah, see, and this is wrong too, because this should be using the other palette. Oh, but you know what? I think I know what the issue is. We've saved it off using the wrong palette, and so now it's all messed up. So here's what we're going to do. Can I bring that back up? No. So that's one downside to resaving everything. So let's see. What is it? It's PNG to tiles, I think. Okay. So that re-exported that. So now that has the right colors. Okay, cool. So now I think that's what the problem is. I think at some point we must have messed up something in the export process that gave it the wrong palettes, and then as a result of that, it then was using the wrong palettes because that's what we told it to do, which is fine. Or, I mean, it's not fine. It's good that it listened to... It's good that the code was consistent with what we wanted it to be, but it is, I think, better. It would be better if it didn't have... it didn't break everything. So, let's see. In the export process, there's all of this stuff. I'm going to get rid of all this stuff. I'm going to put it in the recycle bin in case for some weird reason I need it back. But let's export again. All right, so here's all this stuff. I should just be able to take this all now and replace everything. I did back up the directory in case that was a horrible mistake. We'll know in a moment. All right, let's just take a look at things here before we get too hopeful and it's like obviously wrong. Okay, so far that's looking good. Palettes haven't been loaded yet, but that's okay. Okay, all right, so the sprites are wrong, but I can live with that because the background is correct now. It looks like we might be off by 1. Which is fine, because again, this is pretty good. This is, are we off by 1 or we're off by, oh, we're literally off by 1 tile. Okay, so here's something I wanted to show that was kind of cool. Where is it? I have my NT Mini Noir set up here. I'm gonna turn it on. Come on, turn it on. And this works for the a real NES too. But the reason I'm doing this is because of I just got a new. Crix was doing the sale that he does all the time on EverDrives, and I upgraded my normal EverDrive to the N8 Pro. So you can, with the EverDrive plugged into the USB, load a ROM directly onto the cartridge without having to pop the memory card out, which is really cool. Something Matt Hewson was saying he uses a lot, and I can totally see that being handy. So hopefully you guys see that. It popped up the ROM after I ran the command. Oh, you can't see the command. Damn it. So I ran this command, and when I hit return or enter, it brought up this on the Noir, and now you can see it's actually running exactly the same as in the emulator. So as we get closer and closer to, final work, we will be able to test this out on real hardware, whether it's the a real NES or the Noir, just by keeping it in and letting it load up. So anyway, I thought that was really cool. I was excited to try that out, and you can load up the ROM into it. Now, one thing I noticed is that it seems like once the game is running, it times out to run again. But if you just rerun the cartridge, and then let me switch back to this one, and then I run this, it loaded the ROM, and if I go to the capture, you can see it's now running the code. So pretty cool. It's just mainly convenience, but I thought that was pretty fun, so I wanted to share that. That'll be more useful later as we're working on testing. Order the GBC EverDrive for this Black. Yeah, it's I really like his devices. They're excellent, and having the USB port on the N8 Pro is a big deal for doing development. I mean, not only for the RGB, just it's a pretty capable machine. It does a lot. If you jailbreak it, you can play a lot of other cores. The one thing I didn't care for, or the one thing I was frustrated about that they never did was they were supposed to. Well, let me share this real quick. For those of you who don't know, which might be a sizable number of people, Analog is a company that made this, the NT Mini Noir. It's just a fancy, expensive NES, and it runs on an FPGA, just like Mister, but the main difference is that it can run cartridges, both NES and Famicom, and it has HDMI output, and it's got additional analog output, so you can hook it up. I can have it hooked up to my CRT also. It's got the stereo audio out for, there are system cores that it supports with the jailbreak that can do stereo, I believe. And it's got the Famicom disk system port here if you have an actual Famicom disk system. I have the FDS stick, which runs Famicom disk system images off a USB stick, so that I don't have to worry about the disks not working, because the drive is notoriously finicky. So yeah, 1080p, it was one of the big things, and then the additional cores. I did have the prior version one, and I sold that to get this one. There's some things about this that are less good than the previous version, although some of the menu options and capabilities within the system now, because it's a more powerful FPGA, it's better than the previous NT Mini. So I don't know. I also, it's a nice looking system to have out and use instead of like an original toaster model NES. Mister is a great project, so don't think that me having this has anything to do with Mister, which is FPGA also, like I said. It's just that I want to be able to play cartridges, and Mister doesn't let you do that. So, and RGB modded AV Famicom. Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like if you're really getting it for the NES side of things, and you are using RGB for CRT, for your CRT, or even if you get a RetroTink 5X and you send the RGB to that over SCART, like you're going to get pretty much the same picture. Like the original NT Mini was just an HDMI modded Famicom or NES, right? Like there was it wasn't anything fancier than that. So like if you had the high def NES mod on your system, that's all that was. Now the new system, like I said, it's FPGA, so it's not using NES motherboards to build, and the jailbreak lets you use other cores. We can talk about that for a second here. We're getting close to the point I'm going to wrap up, I think. But if you look for the NT Mini Noir jailbreak, Smoke Monster hosts jailbreaks, which are reversible, so you can update the system to support NES, Game Boy Color, Genesis, Game Gear, 2600, Supervision, all this stuff, right? Like all these different systems, ColecoVision, SMS, supports a bunch of things. And the idea originally was that Analog was going to release cartridge adapters like they did for the Mega SG, but for the systems that this was supposed to support, like, so you'd have an adapter for Genesis, you'd have an adapter for SMS, whatever. They never did that. And I think it's because they realized they could make more money by selling, the Super NT and the Mega SG separately, which, they're a business. I get it. So I'm not faulting them for that. I do take issue with the fact that was one of their selling points, and then they never delivered. Now, since then, they have delivered on the cartridge adapters for other systems. So the Mega SG, like I mentioned, has its cartridge adapter set for what is it? SMS, Sega Master System, and Game Gear, and is that it? Are there only 2? I feel like there's 3. Sorry, I'm going to go back to their website because I don't remember what it is. And it's going to bother me that I didn't remember. Where are the adapters? So it comes with the Master System adapter. Oh, and then you can buy the Mark III Game Gear and the My Card adapter separately. So that was what they promised, and they did deliver that. And then with the Analog Pocket, same thing. They have these adapters that they're going to provide for other systems besides the Nintendo ones. So like you'll be able to use TurboGrafx games and stuff like that, which is pretty cool because then it's like a Turbo Express without the issues of the aging hardware being terrible and capacitors eating circuit boards and whatnot. All right, let's fix this last problem, and then we're going to wrap here. So the issue is pretty simple. We're off by 1 tile. I assume that is the asset filler code is probably wrong or whatever. I mean, we'll make that work for now. I don't know let's see, current BG tile. Yeah, this should just be, well, it's off by just literally 1 tile. Why? That's kind of weird. Is it because 59 is the start instead of 50? Let's see. So, use meta tile size. I think we said. Oh yeah, no worries. Thanks for stopping by. And I'll get back to you here after we wrap. Hopefully I can do so quickly, but we'll see. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, and have a good one. So let's take a look at this here. I want to see what is going on. So use meta tile size is 18. So it's 18 times 4. So that's the number of tiles total. And then current BG tile is, what did I set that to up here? 59. So 59 plus, that's 59 hex though. So let's do this, plus 59. It's A1, which is 161. So A1, that is this location. So that's the last, we're done here. So then, why am I doing, yeah, it should be 256, not 255, right? Like, I think that's all the problem is. I'm using 255, but it really should be 256 because there are 256 tiles, not 255 tiles. I must have had some sort of, oh, you know what? Okay, so because we must have had just a blank tile that we were writing out that we're not doing that anymore. That's why we're off by 1. Let me make a note. We'll come back to this next week, or next week. Geez, I hope not. Next stream, Thursday. Let me put a note here. By writing it, I'll end up remembering it, but I just want to make sure. We adjusted 255 to 256 because we're not currently writing the blank character tile out before the actual content. We need to fix that, and that will require us to change this back to 255. Okay. While we're waiting for that, another thing I wanted to mention is if you haven't played the game Solar Ash, I haven't had a chance to play a lot, but it's by Heart Machine. They made Hyper Light Drifter, which I loved. I love the music to Hyper Light Drifter. I know some people have said that it's a little bit boring for them, the music. but I really love that style of music. But Disaster Piece, Rich Vreeland, who did the music for Hyper Light Drifter, did the music for Solar Ash 2, and so far it's been pretty good, although I will say it is comic that I am playing it on the PlayStation 5, and the system struggles at times to be able to render what is pretty simple game. So I'm not sure how the game was built, if it was like something in Unity or something where they didn't really have the time to optimize it, or the ability or whatever to optimize it. There is some pretty bad slowdown at times, which should not be happening on a PlayStation 5. I don't care what you're doing, unless it's something insanely complex, and that is not what's going on in the game right now. I mess up something because I'm talking. Asset filler, did you not? Asset filler. Delete that. Yeah, so it shouldn't be struggling to render this game. As pretty of a game as it is, it's very like cel shaded, and so it is definitely not something that should be taxing the system. But yeah. That all said, still a pretty looking game. Audio is excellent. Gameplay seems pretty good. Haven't played it a ton, but enjoying what I've played. Check it out if you liked Hyper Light Drifter. It's my non-sponsored promotion. There we go. Hey, I guess it didn't update that asset filler file properly. Cool. Hey, that looks pretty good. Obviously, the colors are a little bit different because it's on the NES now. Well, heck, let's take a look at this. Is this... I turned it off. I shouldn't have turned it off. All right, let's load. Sorry, I'm switching all these scenes back and forth. I'm trying to see what would be... Oh, no, not that one. That's a bad one. Nobody wants to see that one. Let's see. I'll just add this temporarily. Video capture. There it is. So let's move this over here for a moment. Hopefully you all can see that. So run the cartridge. So the EverDrive is loaded up, and I'm going to load up the ROM. Boom. There it is. And hello? Oh. There it is. It's not quite as large as full screen, but the point was to pause it here for a moment and bring this up and bring that up, and you can see all three together. So here's the emulator, here's the map in the file, and here is, and then there's the NT Mini Noir running the game. And then if I, what's funny is you can do, what's kind of cool is you can do palette changes for the where are the palettes? So it comes with different palettes preloaded, so you can change it to match different color profiles, because it's kind of not, there's a lot of speculation about like what the real colors should be, and then it's got silly palettes like that one, or Play Choice 10, which has weird colors compared to the standard NES, so that's kind of cool. And then you can do a custom palette. I'm going to leave it on Firebrand X because it's pretty good. So anyway, and then just for even more fun, we can add scan lines, except scan lines look terrible when you're compressing it down to such a tiny tiny screen there. If I go back to the full screen here, maybe it's a little bit better. Nah, there still, it makes it really hard to see everything now. But anyway, sorry, I'm just goofing around with it because I'm so excited that this is actually working. All right, cool. So we should get the enemies spawning here momentarily. Yep, there they are. And then I can crash into them. The animation looks right. Excellent, excellent. That is so good. All right, I'm going to remove that video playback here from this view. Yes, okay. Cool. So we did it. Hooray. We actually have this working, and everything is working consistently between the emulator and some hardware. So we are in good shape. We have to fix that one issue I mentioned with the one missing tile, and then the last bit that we're missing is just the fact that we are not writing out this level data file properly, which I've currently hand coded what it's supposed to be. If we go back to this, we will actually see that this should loop the map a couple times. But anyway, we need to go back to this and export this properly. We have this junk in here that's not important, but we need to export this and make this an automated file to include this stuff. And then as part of that, we will also need to ensure that we are actually reading all the level information from this thing, because right now we have this level thing and we've got the layout, and it says, you know, what the different levels are, but we don't actually have this going. We just have it reading the first one. So now we got to make it read multiple and export all the content for multiple, including the file that I just mentioned. So we're getting there, but it's yeah, nice. I'm really excited. That's great. That means we get back to level design soon, finally. So, as always, thank you for watching. If you want to reach me, I'm on Twitter at Clervis. I'm on Discord as Zelius at Video Game Sage, but Clervis everywhere else. If you want to ask me some questions, feel free to reach out to me at my email. It's zelius@gmail.com. You can also ask me on Twitter. You can also comment on the video below the description on YouTube for the recording. I do have a Patreon and a Buy Me a Coffee if you're interested in doing so. Totally not required. These videos will continue to be free and not paywalled in any way, shape, or form. If you do pre-order the game, you get access to the source code of the core engine ahead of time, you know, minus assets and the export tool, but it gives you access to that code, and you'll get the ROM when the game is done, whenever that will be, hopefully sooner rather than later. But you can find all the links for that on the YouTube video description. So, thank you again. See you Thursday. Hopefully it'll stay Thursday, and have a good evening. Catch you later.